Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another episode of Dadbod to Daddy. So yes, we are continuing to cut. I probably look a little fuller now because I started eating more carbs again. Protein is still the dominant macronutrient, but definitely added a couple hundred grams of carbs in every day. I've been eating lower carbs with more healthy fats, and so I'm going to replace some of that with carbohydrates and just keep rolling. Feel like the workouts should be going a little bit better. I definitely look a little fuller. I don't know if I look leaner or less lean or whatever as a result of it. I guess the followers can assess that based on how I looked last week. But for the training today, I wanted to add overhead pressing back in. I have not been able to overhead press due to shoulder issues for a long time, mobility, but I've been doing all this work. I don't have any pain in my shoulders, I need to be clear. It's just range of motion limitations. But I've been doing all the hanging leg raises, pullovers. I've been able to add all this other stuff. And because I'm prioritizing incline a little bit more, so I do incline then flat bench, I really feel like the overhead pressing on my shoulder day will accentuate that. It'll help me a lot. Because right now I feel like pecs, delts, triceps, not in that order. I think order of priority probably pecs and triceps need the most work. Delts right behind it. And most of my other muscle groups probably don't even need to grow so much at this point, other than obviously biceps. But they've been growing anyway since I started training them very, very seriously. But I really want to prioritize a little bit kind of that whole upper chest, right? I want to get that upper chest thicker. Overall shoulders, and then I really want to add size to my triceps as I continue to get lean. But obviously body fat's the biggest thing. A lot of that stuff will tend to look bigger just as I get leaner anyways, so that's kind of the top priority. So again, cutting and making what gains I can is important. So I really wanted to do some overhead pressing, but I'm like, I don't want to do standing pressing, let's do seated. Because I'm not concerned with, necessarily the athletic benefits of a standing press right now. I'm just using it to build that whole front delt and upper chest area that the incline is really focusing on. But I feel like that needs to be a priority. But we only do one real front delt exercise on this day, and that's the overhead press. The other stuff is all side and rear delt. Obviously, these other movements hit all three heads, but I'm trying to focus on the lateral head a little bit more. So I did 3 sets of upright rows. I'm doing these very strict now, taking them as high as my shoulder range of motion allows. Sometimes I've had that come up. That's a good thing in the topic. Someone says, should we be stopping wherever? I'm like, no, go as high as your shoulders will comfortably let you go. In my case, keep in mind, guys, I've struggled to do overhead work. I couldn't even overhead press a broomstick 6 months ago or a year ago. I literally couldn't get my arms up enough, and now I'm doing some seated presses. There are range of motion limitations. The main thing is making sure you get that bottom, hitting it at the bottom. Those were PRs on that. I picked up a rep on those today versus last week. So that's a good thing. In particular, doing it as a second exercise, I'm happy about that. Laterals, I managed to squeeze out 10 with these same dumbbells I normally use, but again, performance is the same, but I'm doing more and more work before them now, so I accept that, right? I just accept what it is. And those are sets to failure. People can't always tell because it's kind of like they're not realizing I'm trying to do another rep on most of these. The overhead press I did, and I stopped about a rep or two short. But all these side delt movements, I take these to where when I go to get another rep, it just doesn't move from the bottom. So that's muscle failure. Right, it just doesn't move. The overhead pressing, though, I feel like I'll get stronger on that pretty quick, especially now that I'm prioritizing incline. Keep in mind, you guys have seen me, the most I've ever done a strict standing press years ago was 227.5. Right? I did 225 quite a few times and finally got a PR one day. So, I mean, I've had a respectable overhead press before, so I feel like, again, just doing the seated presses, it should be coming up, right? It should be getting stronger. I'm going to work with that plate for now and just try to get better with it, see if we can get more and more reps with it. So we're doing here, though, making sure the side delts get working. So people have said they feel like my rear delts need to come up, so I want to make sure I give those plenty of love. But it's not just about throwing random volume at them. So I'm trying to focus on these, of seeing if after the first set I didn't think about it as much. The second and third set, I tried to focus on turning the pinkies up because there is data on that showing it activates the posterior head more. So I just want to make sure my rear delts get some love. And I'm having to do these seated because, like most people, I tend to cheat on rear delt exercises that don't have a machine. So just by doing that, doing it seated, it probably makes it a hair more strict. It's still so easy to cheat on those. Then we do our hanging leg raises. I did 2 sets today, did 2 sets of 10. So these are improving. For those who don't remember, we mention it in every single vlog. Why do we do the hanging leg raises? Number one, I want my abs thicker, stronger, more deep. As I get leaner, those deep, because I'm not even that lean right now, but notice how deep my abs are a lot of times, particularly if I flex them. So what's that going to look like if I drop 10, 12, maybe 15 more pounds of body fat, right? My abs are going to be ridiculous, and I want to keep that trend going. Number two, I'm doing everything beltless. So I need my core to be strong, especially all the squatting and deadlifting and things. Even when it's RDLs, I need it strong. The other stuff, it's free grip training and forearm work. So my grip gets worked every single day. It lets me largely ignore forearms. Lets me largely ignore my forearms beyond that. And so therefore, I get free grip and forearm training every single day. Plus, we come over to that shoulder mobility. That swinging down each time puts me into a little bit of a hang. I feel like this combined with the pullovers is going to continue to improve my shoulder health. I think now that I can overhead press again too, eventually I'm going to have good range of motion again. I just can't overdo any of it. We got to keep the volumes reasonable. We have to keep those volumes reasonable. I'm not going to even turn the AC off. It's hot. We'll let it run. You guys will probably hear it in the video. Hopefully it's not overwhelming, but it kicked in near the end here. So did a couple sets of these, and like I said, I try to do average 2 sets every workout, so we get 10 sets of it or so. So again, all those benefits is the reasons we do it. And again, on these rear delt raises, while they do seem to hit my rear delts pretty hard, I didn't want to risk this being the only thing I did, so I went ahead and did 1 set of band pull aparts to failure, which I haven't normally done on camera. I haven't been doing them lately, but if I do a set on camera, it's like I might do a set of band press downs on the tricep day, may or may not. Again, just getting that extra band work in, which really hits those. I absolutely feel those rear delts hard on this. And again, same thing when I've had shoulder mobility limitations. Not a bad thing to throw these in, right? Again, just to hit those rear delts from a second angle, even if it's only 1 set. Because again, keeping my volumes fairly moderate and just training really hard. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.